it?
No.
Did you unblock it?
Goodbye, Nate.
You did, right?
Where's my class? Participants 3. No, I didn't.
Why? Told you to unblock it on Chrome. On Microsoft Edge.
Ba-do-ba-do. Where are you? Where are you? No. Here. No, it's not that. It's OBS. It's only. Okay. Nate, goodbye.
Can you unblock the YouTube thing I downloaded? That's what I'm asking.
Unblock what?
The YouTube thing.
Aren't,
The YouTube thing I downloaded.
Nate, aren't you playing Roblox?
I need to listen to something on it. This is the last thing I'm going to ask you. Okay, I won't ask you anything else. Okay?
Sorry, Nate. started. I did it in. Ta-da-da. Hello, guys.
Hello, sir.
How are we doing today? Um, let's see. You are possibly on your final mimic image out of the four. You're possibly on your final image to mimic. Uh, well, today I think is the last week we should be on that. Um, I'm supposed to be here to help you guys out as much as I can. And then let's see, next week we should I should start moving into the major project um to assist you with the uh, collaboration aspect of the major project. So tell me something. How is the major project going? You guys went through the handout. I went through it to look at it. It's quite a bit. It's not that long, but it's a little long. Has everybody seen the handout? No answer from everybody.
So I'm a bit honest. Like, I didn't like read it in depth as I probably should, but I glanced over it.
Honesty is good for the soul. Okay, so you have done your milestones and you have handed
Yes,
it
sir.
in.
And the Gantt chart.
And the draft Gantt chart. All right. Because pretty much we're going to be winding down assignment one and winding up the major project, right? So we can't spend all the time doing assignment one. My lecture on collaboration is supposed to coincide with you reaching the point of starting your drawings in your major project, right? You have been given a building already? Not yet? Oh, okay. Okay. You're still going through the team slides and stuff then. Probably almost finished by now. Okay. Okay. So as soon as you're given the building now, we're going to start the collaboration aspect of the major project. And that is where I will come in again. But until then, let us see if we can wrap up these mimics. Now I do have that slide with the tips that I was going through. But what I'm supposed to be doing is kind of fusing the tips that I have with challenges that you guys are having, so that it's just not, like generic tips, but it's actually based on what you guys are trying to achieve, right?
Excuse me, sir. Please, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I wanted to ask if it's a case where we have to do the floor plan as well, because I've seen on the site where it's requiring 4 mimics. I was thinking of putting a placeholder there just so I can put submit, but then I was wondering if it's a case that we should submit those other things as well. And then I'm
Yeah, so
seeing that we have to submit all of them at once. So I finished my first mimic, but I'm not able to submit that because I don't have the other pieces.
and it's required. I get
Yes,
it.
sir.
Well, I set up the farm that way. I guess I could set it up where you could submit one, But I mean, why not just submit all of them one time?
Because I thought there was like a deadline for each of them. That's why, and I didn't want to be losing marks if it
No,
is
no, no,
that.
no, no. There's just one deadline for all four of them, and it is the 19th. So it's like 2.5 weeks from now, thereabout.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I would say to submit all of them at once because it's really set up to do that way. But it certainly doesn't mean you're going to do all of them one time. You know, we should be working on it at least for this week. I'm hoping that after this week, you guys are like on your last one.
Oh, and
Because
sir, should we do the floor plan?
yeah, man, the floor plan is included. That is the first mimic. It's four of them, you know. But we only presented one. And from you show me one, then I trust you to do the rest. Yep. We
So,
don't.
sir, we can change our mimic at this stage.
I don't know. I guess if it was a life and death situation, which I'm sure it probably isn't.
Right. Odd.
Sir, I want to show you mine, and if you don't like it, I want to change it as well because this one is very difficult. I don't know why I pick it. It just never
That
connected to
the
me
whole
that I should pick.
purpose. The
No,
whole
sir.
purpose
I
of
pick
this.
mimics that do not work with the structure and that don't make no sense.
You mean it's proven challenging with the model you're given?
Yes.
Yes.
Because in
All right.
real life, if you have a design, you have to pick things that work with it, not force it into this box that you pick just because you liked it. And that's what I did, and I regret it.
All right. Well, these classes are kind of like consultation classes, so I would rather help you with it than to make you pick a whole new image. So that's really what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be kind of showing what we have so far, and interspersed in that, I am also showing you, I guess, tips and stuff that you will need. So, but we are learning from each other. That's the whole idea of the process. So it's not like a one-on-one thing. So you show me, maybe you have to share your screen, maybe you have to send me the file, whatever it is. All right.
Oh, sir, I wanted to show you mine as well because I figured out a way to add the wooden background instead of putting it into Lumion because that was not working out for me. So I
Well,
opted for something else.
it looked like a bit of a journey to go in Lumion and out. I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is next semester, life sparing. No, next year. I'm just going to do like maybe 4 presentations. Yeah, it would help because I only do one and then you do the rest. But then if I have 4, so every week you show me one, I don't know. Is that more stressing for you? I figured it would be more stressing. That's why I don't normally ask for 3. But then again, for 4, I mean. But then again, I think it might be helpful. But anyway, scratch that. I'm just thinking out loud. So let me see what you have. What you can do is share your screen. Allow participants to share screen is on. So you guys can just open your file and then I will see if it is in alignment with any of the stuff that I had planned today to show. Okay, what am I looking at?
You guys going or you want me to go? Don. Hey, Rosie.
Oh, great.
Donna, you said you wanted to show Sarah Shimpi or you want me to go? Alright, I'll just share mine.
Oh, sorry, I never realized my mic never on. It's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So,
Oh,
yeah, I probably have to share screen. Oh, nice. Somebody's talking.
Oh, that's loud. Yes, virtual classes. All right. Okay, remember you're muted. Oh, you're on the phone. All right. Courses, computing, AC1. Lecture content. What are we doing now?
Sorry about that. Yes. So said this is the original image, and this is what I came up with for my mimic. I know that the original doesn't have any glass in it, and this is glass. I wanted to add like a background that kind of plays into the form of the building, because I think there's a courtyard at the back. So I wanted to add my spin on that, still incorporating the wooden texture and the light that I wanted to get and the gradient of the white. And I tried my best to add texture to the staircase and use the brush tool for shadow.
Okay.
So
Sure. Okay. Show me about the mimic again, but I don't remember
so
yours.
this is the mimic. This is the original.
Right. And go back again now. Okay. What I would say is you have to try probably squeeze some more construction details out of it.
Okay.
To mimic the top. And then the wood background, I think that's good, but it's a little flat. Like you need some details in there, like maybe there's a shelf or a panel, some kind of wooden panel, or put it up side by side. Let me show you. Right. So you see, in this you have multiple floors. But in this case, because it's kind of one floor, you need a way. Windows key right and Windows key left. Hold the Windows key and press right, and then hold the Windows key and press left on the other window. That's the shortcut. Yeah. Right. So you see, you notice where you have the wood, you have the light, you have the wood, but I think you need more wood, you know, to kind of represent it because of your building. So I think you would need to put like a background on the top one as well.
The top part? I was going to do that, but then because like these areas and here.
Yeah, but I mean, but what happened to your ceiling? I mean, why not say that it is like a drop ceiling in the on the roof? Why not have some suspended ceiling tiles there?
Because I felt like it was changing the drawing, and I didn't necessarily.
No, but you're not going to change it, you know, because the suspended ceiling tiles will be hung from the roof. In the middle space where you have the balcony, there's no building behind there. I can't.
No, sir.
There's nothing in the background going on there, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, there's like a wall going back.
Yeah, isn't there like the building don't wrap around that part.
Just a wall, like it's like a in a courtyard in the back there.
Okay. You see where you say you add your spin, like, but your spin is not in your source image. You see it? Right. We're mimicking. We're not spinning. So you see all of that length on the ground, when you add that wooden background, that then it will start to feel more like it. And then now you add some detail in it. You need some kind of horizontal detail or paneling or something, but you need something to kind of vary the wood background that is there so it matches the wood background in this. Not just a flat piece of timber or facing or whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Oh. Thank you.
Yeah, man. But you're definitely there. So show me the other two now. It's not one mimic you're doing, you know. Jesus, it's four, you know. This is only one.
Yeah, I know.
Guys.
But I haven't started. Sir, that other one. There was this one that I just can't figure out how I'm going to do.
The key thing is to start it, you know. I bet you when you start it, you're not going to have me before it's handing time. You need to start it while you have me for the practical sessions. Anyway, show me.
Sir, this one.
Ah, come on. That's like the easiest one there. Really? Come on.
Sir, I mean, yes, I can get the stuff, but then I would have to do some other weird stuff to get the lines to just outline the actual object.
Right away, that is straight in Rivet, right? Right away, you would there's so many ways you could tackle it. There's so many ways you could tackle it. You can set the transparency of your walls in Revit. That's the first thing. Right? You can. And then you could I would perhaps you have a two-story building, so I would perhaps save out the ground floor isometric and use my section box with it to kind of cut around the edges. And then I do the upper floor separate, and then I put them together in the Illustrator. I think that's the better way. Some people would probably try to do everything in one.
Sir, my Illustrator isn't working optimally.
Well, you could use Photoshop, but the main thing is that you can use Revit to start that process.
Okay.
Right. But you need to start it like 2 weeks ago. Right? Because you would need to know, if you're running a problem now, you would be showing me and I would saying, well, this is why you're not cutting, or this is why turning the wall to orange not working, or whatever you. Right?
Yes, sir.
But let me see. Do you fall on my list of tips that I have here? Not really, because the stuff that you show me are things that I'm expecting you guys to know already. So I have all confidence in you. Is there any other doubts you have in any other mimics? I think we did talk about them already, so the talking finishes the doing time now, right? Right, Miss Brown?
I'll show you mine now.
No problem.
Let me find it. I have no idea where it is. Took a minute. I have way too many things on my laptop open right now.
Mhm.
All right, here it is. Let me find the mimic
Okay,
image.
cool.
Okay. And so the green arrows, those are to the communicative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you found something to mimic it from, right?
Yes.
All right, lovely.
Are you seeing the mimic image right now, or you can't see it?
No, can you share the application? So you need to share
Oh, okay.
this screen.
Yes. Yes, let me do that. Share screen. Okay, here we are. Okay, here are my 3 images. So this is the one I did. And,
All right, cool. Mm-hmm.
and the green arrows to show the communicative
Okay, that's pretty
thing.
straightforward. The communicative thing is pretty straightforward. So that's okay. All right. I see it's coming together. Yeah.
Okay,
Not hard.
yeah.
So
So
what's the
I'm
one you
finished
want
with
to
this
change
one.
now? Right, good.
Oh,
Good.
no, I wanted to show you this. If this wasn't good enough, I wanted to change that one. But this is also a problem. This is going to be a problem because I'm not, remember the file, the
Mhm.
building file is kind of, tricky because I use Revit. So I'm not sure how I'm going to get this.
Okay. All right. I think this one kind of can fall under one of my tips categories. So I think you should get something from that. I probably wouldn't use Revit. I would probably use SketchUp, maybe.
Oh,
Mm,
I'll use SketchUp, sir.
I could use Revit as well. Um, how do you propose to get for example those walls to be transparent?
Yes, that's the problem, sir. I don't
That's the
know.
problem?
Yes,
Okay. All
I
right.
want to use a different image for this.
Really? Oh, come on. Yeah, man. That's
I
not
want
that's
to
not a problem worthy
let me
of a
do a
different image.
exploded one. That would be easier, right?
Really? I don't think. Firstly, I would be expecting, being that you use Rivet, you would be telling me something along the lines of transparency.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to work with the model because wouldn't I have to import it piece a piece, like in pieces like you did with Tiffany's?
Not necessarily. I don't necessarily think so. Because the only thing that is being separated in terms of color is really the floors, It's just the floors on the ceiling. So at most, you would probably have to carry in the floors. But that's the only thing that really has a color if you want to color it from Revit, which I'm thinking it would be better to color from Revit.
Okay. All
Right.
right.
And then the walls would be a separate color. I mean, come on.
Okay. I will look into it, sir.
But we'll still I'll see if it can be a part of what we're going to talk about today, which shouldn't be very long, because I would love to say that I want to give you the guys the time to actually work on it, but as soon as I leave here, you're gone to something else, and then lo and behold, it's the 18th and it's due the 19th, and you have 2 mimics left.
I am guilty of that. I'm very guilty.
And it's the night before, and now you have to figure out something that you have no idea how to do. I tell you.
That is true, sir.
So, well, what we could do is that I could say, okay, by next week, I would say, show me how far you're reaching this and the next one that you're going to start.
Next week? Okay. I can do that.
But I will give you some tips on this. Let me see. I'm just kind of guessing here, but I can't even test it out to try. But let me see. Is there the other ones are fine?
I mean, this is my second one, and technically, I have not chosen my third one yet.
What do you mean?
You rejected the one that I picked, the ones that I put forward for you to pick from, and I still haven't looked into it to pick a third one as yet. But I am going to do it and send it in tomorrow. Tomorrow.
You have to do it today. Today. So during class. So look up one today and do it.
Okay, I'm gonna look for it.
Because, right, definitely. Okay. Anybody else? Miss Rose, how is it going?
Just started my second.
All right. And it is going
My progress?
no roadblocks so far.
Sure. I'm sure must be.
I was just about to say if you have any goodies to show me.
Sir, my thing is just like the first and something there.
Oh, that's cool.
Leave it on the right or just leave it.
That's cool. So my one little question with this one is how you going to get those nice soft shadows? What program you want to use?
Sir, I tried using Illustrator and
Not for,
sir, I'm not looking that.
not for, well, you could get soft shadows with Illustrator, but I mean, this is more looking like a Photoshop thing. But it seems like...
do the layer mask thing over it.
Right. Or you could, well, actually, yes, you have given me something. So let me jot this one down. I'm going to add this to my list to discuss today. So, of shadows. It might end up being perhaps better. How did you produce the plan so far? No, you don't produce it yet. You haven't drawn it yet. You haven't drawn it yet, meaning the wall and fill it in. Have you?
The one on the left is my...
Oh, guess what? I didn't recognize it because where's the courtyard? Oh, it's in the... Why it looks so weird? Probably because I'm looking at it that way. Okay.
Until the courtyard here.
Okay, okay, okay. So what did you draw? What did you draw that one in?
I think I used the plan from AutoCAD and then Photoshop and PVC.
AutoCAD and what?
I used the plan from AutoCAD, Photoshop, and filling the background.
Okay, okay. Okay, so this so far has been produced in AutoCAD so far? Yeah, you went into Photoshop?
And Photoshop.
And Photoshop. So you're currently in Photoshop now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, cool. Okay, what else? No other goodies for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sound like Tiffany have something to show.
No. I haven't done much, but all I did was similar to my
This is your
original.
okay, right. Okay, so that's what you read so far. All right. Okay. I think you're kind of halfway there with Rivet because Rivet has a kind of
I
similar
just
thing.
have a problem.
You're going in and out.
This specific color on the original. So I downloaded this and I want to change it to that color. How do I go about doing that?
Ah, okay. In Photoshop?
Yeah.
Okay, this is so that you can get that base color. Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
Let me see back your original. So your wall shadows you will get from Rivet.
Yes, sir.
Your only thing is that those shadows are kind of semi-transparent. Go back to your
Yeah.
Rivet drawing. All right. So Rivet right off the bat doesn't really, it don't give you that transparent shadow, at least outside of Rivet. That is the thing. There is a couple of things that you can do. Okay, tell me. How would you get those Rivet shadows to be transparent when you put your pinkish background so that the Rivet shadows will fall on your background?
So I recognize that as an issue, but
Oh, you
I
never
was
reach there, say it.
yeah, I didn't brainstorm how I was going to resolve it as yet though.
Okay. All right. Let me jot down this one. That's Revit shadows. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. All right. What about the other mimics? Oh, you know, start the other ones yet.
So,
What was that? No.
no.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Okay. But you found a texture already. You found a texture already.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Who else do we have here today? You can stop the sharing now. I will talk a little bit about the shadow. Miss Cupidan, how you doing? How is life? Is life okay? Are you there? No? Okay. But your name is present. Okay. All right. Well, let's look on some stuff here that we have. Okay, let's bring up that. And let's head on over to here. Okay, So we spoke about this workflow thing not too long ago. Hold on, I'm not sharing my screen, my bad. Okay, so we spoke about this workflow thing not too long ago, right? So we're not going to go back through that, but down here we have some tips of some approaches. I would say I will call them approaches that we can use, and a lot of these things will so far applies to what you're trying to achieve. So my deal is that I try to write down these things, so to kind of broad brush it, so that I know that some of these tips will apply for some of the things they're trying to achieve. Some of them, though, I don't see here. So let me start with some of the challenges that we're having. So the first one is with Revit. Remember that, I think it was Roseone. You had with the transparent walls and Revit. Right. Well, I know that you can have the walls to be transparent in Revit. And you can add color to the floors. And I know that you already know how to do that already. Am I right?
I changed the material in Revit and I could not.
You could not?
So is that number of steps, but it possibly in Revit.
With a take off model.
Now here is
So if it are of the
Okay, so let me point out, I want to point out just something that I think will go for many persons here that I think you can utilize to your advantage. So let's look on this model. Well, okay, no, you know how to bring in the model already, so I won't focus on that. But let's say you had a floor. Let's say like that. Let's say you had a wall. I'm just going to put a wall here, just on one side like that. Let's look on that in 3D. All right, so that's good old Revit for you, right? Nothing special. Well, right away you could override by element, and you could override the surface pattern with a solid fill and a color. Let me pick one of those weird colors that it has here.
Sir, is YouTube I learn from? Yeah, it's never class. Now I remember.
Ah, no, I remember. Okay.
Yeah, it's not class, it's Revit. YouTube tutorials.
So the main thing, I had a tip that I wanted to bring up for you guys. I just kind of added this little thing with the tip. So, well, right away, remember that you can also add transparency with object override as well, which is here. So let's go about 80% transparent. There we go. So we have a nice transparent wall there, right? Now, there is a part on the Mimic where the walls, the outline of the walls are brighter, right? This is where things get a little tricky. How do I explain that? I'm going to try and tie this in with the tip that I was going to give you today. So let's say that you had this wall on the inside. So right away, you see where you can have a transparent wall and this wall here. But you may have a scenario where only the outermost walls, like let's say this. I should probably use black there. So let's do that again. Yeah, you may have a scenario where just the outermost walls like that needs to be dark. But the rest of walls don't need to be dark. For example, all of these inner walls are this wall here, but only the outline needs to be dark, which you can't really do in Revit. You could make all the walls thick, but that wouldn't solve the problem. So this particular tip was having to do with extracting vector information, right? I'm not sure which one of these it fall under. Oops, come on, clear, go back. Yeah. Here we go, extracting vectors, right? So this general tip that's speaking about extracting vectors. So check this out. In Revit, as long as you don't add shadows or what you call raster effects in Revit, then you are actually able to, I can print this. So let's say I have this here. I'm going to just print this as is, not to any particular page size. I'm going to save it as a PDF. Let's save it on the top. I'm going to save it. Actually, let me save it in today's date folder. So AC1 lecture, to make life a little bit easier next time around. So no, you know what? Easy on the desktop. Let's just call it tips. All right, good. I'm going to save it to that folder. And I'm going to call this Revit. Okay. And there we go. So I'm printing it as a PDF now. There we go, nothing special. And this is, these are actually vector lines, right? And we know that it's vector because when we zoom in, we can see that it's line work that is pretty sharp. I mean, see, already I'm kind of getting Rose's mimic already like half done. It's pretty much done here, you know. But I just want to point out one little thing.
Yes, sir, half done. So she could submit something like that and get 50%.
In theory. All right, so check this out now. Now I'm going to open that PDF in Illustrator. There we go. And that's my PDF there. This is coming from Revit, right? Let's rotate it so that it is more recognizable. Let's rotate it that way. Actually, makes. Okay, no, never mind. I'll just rotate the content. Nope. There we go. Everybody sees that? So check this out. Revit printed as PDF in Illustrator, you are able to extract those vector lines. Are you seeing that vector line there? So now I'm able to actually just select that vector line alone and make it thick. I can select just this line alone here and make that thick.
That nice still, sir, but I'm still not use Illustrator.
Well, the reason I'm saying it is this tip is primarily about extracting, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of just reminding you that you might have a situation where you want to manipulate certain line work. I'm just reminding you that if you print it out as a PDF and carry it into a program that is able to manipulate line work like Illustrator, for whatever purpose you're using it for. In this case, it happens to be very similar to Rose's Mimic. So if she PDFs literally, if she does PDFs the model that she's given, open it in Illustrator, she can select certain lines and just say, make it thick. And then you would have already colored your building from inside Revit already. So you see what I'm saying, Rose? It's actually easier than you think. So luckily what you wanted to do was in alignment with showing this. There's another one I wanted to show. Yeah, speak. Yeah, you're saying something? Nope. Okay, now I want to show you guys another tip. I'm not sure who this might help. But hold on, it's only like 6 of you here. So where is everybody else? Oh, them not reach yet? No, but it's 4 o'clock. Well, guess what? It's a recording, so you guys can watch the recording, right? But valuable tips. So what was I doing again now? Right, I was showing you another, this is under the same extracting vectors topic. So if I open up this here, where is my thing? Right, so let's head over to AC1 and let's head down to where did I give you guys the model? Oh, right, it's under student content under assignment 1. And I did give you a SketchUp version, did I? Yes, I did. Here we go.
Sorry, you know, all of a sudden I just opened my Illustrator while you're doing that there, just to check. And all of a sudden it's working fine. And it wasn't all this time, and I've been struggling, you know, sir.
You know how these things are, right? I tell you. Okay. All right. This, by the way, this could also work for Rose as well, maybe. But in SketchUp Pro, right, you are able to, let me see, if I could just turn this into parallel projection, right? So this is parallel projection here now. If I go to export and I export 2D graphic, but here's the thing, if I choose to export it as a EPS, right? Anybody know of an EPS file format? So what EPS does, and let me show you what that does here. Export that. And EPS is a type of vector file. I think you can import it in AutoCAD too, but there will be no need for you to go EPS to go to CAD because SketchUp can go straight to CAD. But an EPS file, which is an what? Encapsulate. You know what? I don't remember what it means. Something another script. But Illustrator can open EPS files. Here we go. Probably it's the version. So I probably have to save it. Let me go again. Export.
So you're gonna spend some time in Photoshop?
Yeah, my Photoshop tips are coming up.
Okay.
Coming up, it's coming up. Oh man, I think this is because it's SketchUp 2020? Why it's not opening now? It should open. Right, because it doesn't have a version. You know what? It's probably too complex. Okay, hold on. Let me. Explode that. Wow, I think I froze it. Okay, while that explodes, let's look at the next tip. That one was on extracting vectors. Extracting section from models using SketchUp. Oh crap, see, well I was just on that one and SketchUp has frozen. Wow. All right, continuing. Okay, selecting colors. What was I showing with this one again? All right. But this one, I did this one from DDM already. So I should remember this. You're right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead to warping and using brushes. I did using brushes already earlier in the course. Didn't I? We downloaded some brushes and we tested it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Sir, so go to warping.
So warping, okay. Some of you might want to use backgrounds. Let's say you need to align a perspective, or let's say your mimicked background, you want to download an image to use as your mimicked background. So let's, for example, and this one is actually in Photoshop. And I think I might have done this already too. I think this is totally frozen. Wow. Okay.
So you have too much things open.
You're right, you know, because I do have, but I think it's also because I exploded this. You guys have exploded this model and it exploded fine?
Nope.
No?
I never use SketchUp for it still.
Yeah.
So, sir,
It was fine from 3 days, man.
Okay. Yeah?
I just exported one file to DWG and went to AutoCAD as a model and I got the wireframe.
Right.
Now,
So what are you doing with it in AutoCAD?
my 3D model thing was like a sketchy, the lines were sketchy and they highlighted the circulation.
Oh, this is still for the same one we were talking about?
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to think, how would AutoCAD help you?
To get the
Get the line work?
yeah, the line work.
But don't you need a bit more freedom? Like how you meaning you would color it from AutoCAD, that's what you're saying?
Oh, sir, just to get the line work.
Just to get the line work. Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but that's because AutoCAD is so rigid. I would use AutoCAD in very specific cases. I'm not sure if I would use it in that one. But okay. I learn new stuff every day. And a lot of it I learned from you guys. So if you use AutoCAD to do it, then that's I will always encourage learning something new. Come on. Yes, I think that is it. This is just a bit too complex. That's why it didn't work. Wow. Really? Okay, good. Let's just delete some of these here. And oh, it has furniture in there. Ah, see, that's the problem. But anyway, I can still show my example using this. I just need to get rid of some stuff. Let us do this in parallel projection, and let's go to, let's open views. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Ah, it's okay. Come on, thing. There we go. Wow. Come on.
I'm slowly going.
Come on. Oh, Lord. Okay. So let's talk about the warping. I think the warping you kind of already know. So I'm just going to...
No, sir, we don't know anything.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
Let's grab an image from the good old web.
Oh God, it's stuck in the power line.
So let's say, all right. So let's say you have one of these images that have some kind of perspective that you're trying to align. So I'm going to pick one like this one. Yeah, maybe something straightforward.
Sir, because like, remember my thing, I need to work it a bit to get it to have the diagonal angle at the top.
Right.
I'm never doing it yet. So,
Right.
yeah.
All right, let's use this image, even though this is like a low res. I would want a higher res image. Is this better? Yeah, this is also better. Okay. So we're gonna save this.
No one uses
and
Jet anymore. Jet used to be famous.
And
0 people use Jet now.
we're gonna save this here.
Jet is
And we're gonna save that here. And there we go. All right, so let's say we open this in Photoshop. There we go. So in the case where you have things that are perspective and let's say they are slightly off, actually, I think I can go back.
What was the name of the hack thing you tried to go on again?
And let's say that you have this here.
Why did you do that?
Let's say that it is slightly off angle. So I'm gonna give that example like, let me grab another one here. Okay, now you have a couple of warping tools that you can utilize here. You have edit. Oh, you do need to turn this into a regular layer. So you go to window, turn on your layers and layer from group. There we go. All right. So let's do this again. So right. So you under edit, you have a couple warping tools here. You have skew and distort. Perspective is kind of just like skew, right? So in the case where you have to kind of align something to match with something else, let's see if this has opened so I can show you. Yes, it has. All right. So let's see. Right. So let's say in this case where you you might have something that's a little like that. I could export this as a regular JPEG, no, as a PNG, preferably. I thought you could go PNG from here. Yes, you can. Here it is. All right. Let's go to the desktop. Save it on the tips and export. Now this is actually more. Now, if you carry in this image, there you go. You might notice that it is slightly off. For this purpose, I'm going to, I saved it with the background, but anyway, you might notice that it's slightly off. Like for example, let's say this line here is not exactly the same here. You might have other situations. Sometimes you could be trying to align something dead on in the elevation. If there is a mimic that requires you to do that. So what you can do is using the warping tool, and one of my favorite ones is actually the puppet warp. You have the regular warp tool, and that's what we used in DDM in first year when we were getting that vehicle to align. We use a regular warp tool. But as you are more advanced now, I would introduce you to this, which is a bit more advanced.
I don't understand it, so the next step was YouTube.
Okay. YouTube is always the next step.
But sometimes they take failure to get to the point. They don't know what they do.
Well, they're not exactly doing something that is exactly what you want, and that is the challenge with YouTube and all these other ones.
Right.
So in the case where you're trying to align two different things, what I would do is you would take a reference line. In this case, let me choose OK. In this case, I would use another layer, and I would use the line tool and use it in the mode pixel. So let's say, for example, this line here, that's way too thick. Let's make it thinner. Let's make it like 1 pixel. This image is all low res, but anyway, like that. So I draw a reference line here and I can move this. So this reference line can help you to align things. That one isn't too bad. So let me create another layer and use another reference line here. Like that. Yeah, this one is probably more off. You can see where this is now way off from that. You can see that? Now,
Yes, sir.
Usually, if in terms of warping, when you're warping line work, you would tend to use the perspective and the skew tool a bit more. The perspective tool is kind of made to do this stuff. The skew tool is kind of, it gives you more freedom. So for example, let me go to the skew tool. So if I click on the background and go to skew here, there we go. There we go. Then you get these corners, and then you're able to do some amount of skewing. Actually, okay, hold on. There we go. And there we go. So now you can use your reference points to adjust this. But the thing about this skew tool is it is primarily for perspective. So in this case, let's see if we can get this to line up exactly. Maybe not exactly the way we want it to line up, but no, this is more up. Close enough. Close enough. Well, that one there is parallel. So in cases where the skew tool is a bit too extreme, so like in this case, you might want to make this smaller and then let this bigger. But then when you do this and it doesn't line up, then the next step would be to go to the puppet warp tool. So your first line of defense is skew, and then you go to puppet warp. Now there's also the warp tool as well. So let me go back. There are like many different ways to warp. Let's look on this other one. Skew, distort, perspective, warp. So we went with skew first. Let's try distort.
Sir,
Yeah?
why wouldn't you skew the model itself rather than that image?
Yeah, well,
if you're trying to let this image fit on that, if you have superimpose this image on that, it wouldn't also manipulate the model image itself to fit the background.
Yes, it would. But what I'm doing in this kind of tips that we're discussing, we're kind of simulating a scenario where you couldn't do that.
Oh.
You follow me? There might be a scenario where you have a perfect image that can work, but for whatever reason, it just does not fit. It just doesn't fit. So it could be where you're trying to maybe you're replacing a door. Maybe you have a tree that needs to like fit exactly in this location and you can't move the model. You understand? There could be multiple scenarios. So maybe this one is a bad example because yes, you would adjust the model to match.
Because the way how you're doing it, the mimic I'm working on now is superimposed in a dense area.
Right.
So I wouldn't change the background. I would just change the model to fit in.
True, but you would still have to do a little bit of skewing, so that it does line up perfectly.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm just like doing it in a more extreme way.
All right.
Right. Cool. So this next kind of skewing, which is this is more free form. So it isn't so aligned to a perspective, but it kind of does the same thing. But check this out. Like right away, I can have enough flexibility to kind of match this. You seeing that?
Still on the skew, sir?
This now is distort. Before we went to skew, right?
Okay.
So this now is distort. But then even when we do this, we can't quite get this front angle to be the same. You see that? So it's like we have edited the perspective in a way to let this side match with the model. You get what I'm saying? But now, because we skew it, this side don't work. So, all right. So this brings us somewhat halfway there. So we could decide to keep this and then add another type of warp to carry this side to match. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So, but no, I'm going to cancel it.
Is that where the puppet warp would come in now?
Exactly. So you see, like you're working your way down, But I wouldn't start from that type of warp because the puppet warp is perhaps like the most complex,
Right.
right? So now let's try, what do we want? We want to skew this start, perspective, and then warp, and then puppet warp, right? So we're going that in that point of view. Now the perspective is, how you put it now? It doesn't give you as much freedom as the skew. So the perspective would be kind of if your image was already dead on perspective. So for example, if you can kind of see what is happening here. Let me kind of line it up so you can see. So what I've done here is like I'm almost changing it to where it is, where there is less perspective on the front and more perspective on the other side. It's almost like this side is now flat and this side is in perspective. You see that? But this is only really for perspective. So let me cancel that. You see, it's almost like I've totally changed the perspective on the image. So that kind of warping would be like dead on. You already have this perfect perspective kind of image and you want to skew the perspective. Compared to the one before, which was the skew gave us a bit more freedom and it never business that the image is a perspective any at all.
Yeah.
The warp now you already know about, but the challenge with warp is that warp introduces curves. So here's the warp. So I could warp this side here and kind of warp that side down, warp that side up, warp this up more. But you can kind of see where the curving starts to come into play. Kind of hard to get rid of the curving out of the warp, but you can kind of see where it's tricky with the warp. But you see, you can't really get into to edit this as much. So the warp would be like for more big global changes. Okay, and now the final one now that I want to show you is the puppet warp. And I think I demonstrated this one to you when I was doing the show and tell. So for the puppet warp now, what you would do is you see the elements that you want to change. So for example, let's say that you wanted to get this line here to line up with that line. Then what you would do, I would pin along here like that. Then places that I don't want to move, I would keep. I'm also pinning. So places that I want to move and places that I don't want to move. So for example, the best way to show you is by example. If I wanted to warp this up to this point here now, then the whole image moves. But notice that the pin remains steady no matter what. So I could potentially bend this image, but yet still these pins remain steady. You see that? Let me bend it this way.
Yes,
no matter how I stretch this image, it's like it has pinned it to that spot and it remains steady. So with this kind of warp tool now, oops, let me go back to warp. Right, with this kind of warp tool, what I would do is, well, first, the things that you don't want to move, I would hold it steady. So I would hold there and I would hold that. So I'm pinning it, it's like I'm pinning down the paper. And And these features are now more in the more advanced parts of Photoshop. But you are doing advanced computing, right? All right, so I'm going to pin these areas down. All right, let's see if we can make this magic happen now. So if I start to warp this up here now, then you realize that the bottom of the page here is starting to bend down this section. So that simply means I need to pin that as well. Let's try and stretch this up. And let's put another pin here and stretch this up. Yeah, this is perhaps not so much a good example, but in any case, we're just testing, so it's okay. I wouldn't really recommend this on a perspective, but I'm telling you, because you have so much intricate controls over every aspect of the image, you can basically change this image so it looks like the perspective is like heading in a total different direction. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stretch this down like that. Whoa, now this is really beginning to be crooked. But guess what? Because this is a building, in this case, because it's a building, I would use my guides. You see these lines here? I would use the guides to kind of guide how you warp this tool, how you warp the building. Come on. There we go. So look at how easy this part here changes now in terms of the perspective. I can just warp this in this direction. And this is one of those things that's only possible because you have pixels. Like you wouldn't be able to do this in Illustrator, because what is really happening is that, you know, the computer is just like reading these pixels and doing like some funny algorithms to make sure that when you move it, the pixels kind of stick together and remain. All right, it remains intact. There we go. So now, like this line here would need to be parallel to that line. Oops, so I need to carry this up a little bit like that. And okay, now let me choose okay on this. Now right away, we managed to pull the image together where we could get it to align to this here, and we could also get it to align to that. But the warp tool wouldn't have given us this amount of flexibility. So like if I undo, that is it, before and after. There we go. So you see, we're able to get the whole new perspective line like this. So you can imagine the warp tool. Let's say, for example, let me get maybe wood. Yeah, let's say wood texture. Yeah, let me grab one of this random wood texture here. Here. Let me grab one, something with lines. Something a little brighter. Yeah, this will do. So if I had this wood texture here, right? And because this is a straight wood texture, and if I wanted to apply wood over these windows right here, then the best tool, because this already has straight lines, the best tool to use would be the skew tool. So let me grab the skew tool now. The best warp to use, rather, since we're talking about warping, would be the, not the skew, the distort, right? If I'm right. Yes, the distort. And check this out. Because this already has straight edges, oops, kind of messed it up, but because it already has straight edges, you can just fit this potentially in this spot right here.
Yeah, so that's basically what I did to all the pieces of my thing.
Right, right. But in the case where you have, let's say, what's a good example for this now? It's a crane. Let's say a crane. I don't know. I just kind of grabbed that one out of mid-ear. But let's say you have this crane here. Let's say this one. This would have been better as a PNG image, but let me try my luck. Let's try my luck. This is probably a fake PNG. Let's just grab one of these. Oh, you do this again. Go to tools, color, and choose transparent. Beautiful. So all of these are PNGs. Yes. How about this one? All right, let me grab this image. So let's say you had another scenario where you had this crane, and apparently I can't paste that in, so I'll have to download it first. There we go. So let's say you had this, but for whatever reason, you wanted the crane to not be this high. Like you wanted it to be like a little lower, right? Let me put it where you can see it. For whatever reason, you wanted the crane arm to be a little lower. So in this case, the skew warp, that type of warping wouldn't really help you because you just wanted this arm to be a little lower. In this case now is where you would want to use the other type of warping now, which is the puppet warp. And then you would pin here and pin here, and then you would pin the rest of it just to kind of keep it steady. Come on, let's get this off of the screen. Stop it. Right, you probably pin here and pin there and pin there. Right, then now you could move the arm. You seen that? Move the arm ever so slightly. Well, I mean,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is, right? But it will actually keep the polygon, the area polygons, because they're not polygons,
Pixels.
the pixels intact. So now you actually, of course, this is a rough example, but so this is where you would probably use the puppet warp tool, which if you think about it, it's kind of like a puppet, you know, like when you have puppet strings and stuff. But
Yes, sir, I get it.
they all come together to allow you to warp images to do interesting things. So you have to just kind of think about it and apply it to your scenario. I just kind of give some rough examples here, right? Okay, so that one was Photoshop. Let's see, what else did we have? Oh, I didn't finish the EPS one because this was just giving trouble because it wouldn't explode. But I wanted to show you that EPS one, which is still extracting vectors just the same. No difference there. It's just that some of us uses SketchUp. Okay, all right, here's a better example. One that you can probably relate to for this exercise as well. So SketchUp does a pretty good job at cutting sections, right? So let's grab the section tool. Whew. Haven't used SketchUp in a while. There we go. Let's grab the section tool.
Sir, just put my section and send it to me.
Where it gone? It should be up here. Did I just enable it? Or they change the icon? Let's enable large tool set. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, good. Section. Let's cut this side. There we go. Yeah. Sometimes I get my wires crossed because I use so much programs. I don't remember. You know, you're doing the shortcut for one program in another program. I guess some of you can relate.
Yes, sir. It's annoying.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's set this case. This isn't too complex here. So I'm going to try and cut this. All right, so let's say that we have this here. I'm going to switch this to parallel projection. Come on. Okay, good. Hopefully this isn't too complex. It should work. And now I'm going to go to file and let's try this export thing again. And we're going to come out as a EPS. Go. Ah, crap, it's still, anyway, it's just still complicated. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that if actually, hold on, I can save it as a PDF actually, and it will do the same, almost the same thing. But the EPS would have been a better example. But I think what it is that EPS won't work with a complex model. So let's come out as a PDF. There we go. All right, good. So once it is a PDF now, just like with Revit, you can open this PDF in Illustrator and it will preserve the lines just the same. So now, for example, this is an object. See that? Let me move it so you can see it. So this is a surface. You could actually change the color. Oops, come on. Come on, there we go. That is a surface as well. And here and here. So the reason why I'm telling you this is that you might be in a situation where you can use SketchUp to do something really quickly, but there might be something else you need to do quickly that SketchUp doesn't really do as quick, but Illustrator will do quicker. Trying to think of that scenario. Like for example, if maybe you want to have like transparency, like this wall to be like certain walls to have a dash line, for example. And you know, SketchUp can't give you a dash line. So let's say this is a thick wall here. Let's make that wall a bit thick. Come on. Oh, it's actually getting thicker. Here it is, right? Let's make it red so you can see it. Where is color? Let's open my swatches. Let's open the swatches. Okay. Where's default? Here we go. Right. Good. Red. All right. So like I have this red line here, and like I wouldn't be able to like change a single line in SketchUp to be red, but like in Illustrator, I can access like my dash line, so I could make it a red dash line. Let's make this. Oh, hold on. Let's just select that line. Right, there we go. So it could be a red dash line here. Come on. Right. As an example like that. So there might be scenarios where you're not able to manipulate these lines so easily. Let's give another example. Like, let's say that this also you wanted to be a dash line. Let me pipette it from this. Come on, pipette thing. Let's make it. There we go. Let's make it red. And let's make it a dash line as well. And let's let it not have any fill. Right. So imagine you needed to get like something like this, where you wanted to have like the ability to control like exact line work and manipulate it on a more graphical basis. Maybe half of the building is dash line and half is line, and you need to still be able to manipulate the line work. So this is actually a part of the tip of extracting vectors, because once you might notice that a program might not be able to give you the option to go in and change certain deep things, you can always export it as a vector, carry it in another program, and then manipulate it. All right, so, all right. Using brushes, we already have that. Creating sheets that flow. All right. I think I did. You guys perhaps know this already.
Sir, there's a comment in the chat.
Hmm? Let's see here. Yeah. All right. How could I forget? Yes, color, changing color. Yes, I actually wrote that one down, you know. I guess it's supposed to be a part of selecting color. Actually, I'm going to add another one to this for future reference. I'm going to add one that says color grading. Come on. Come on, come on. All right, color grading.
Or maybe can show it like, you know, when I have like a picture and the person have on them clothes and them all in color and them background black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy, you know, to do that from
days. But more see it done.
Yeah, you cut out the background and then you make that part black. What is, however, more challenging is, but I think what I'm saying can also cover that. Let's say that this is especially the one that have the floor plan where you probably need to change the color of a texture. Maybe I can use this image as well. It's just that it's so low res. I should really find a better image. But anyway, this color here is brown, right? Everybody can clearly see that, the wood. Turn off these. Everybody can see that the wood is brown, right? So let's say you wanted to recolor the wood. Okay, the best way to recolor any existing object is to add a adjustment, but I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Non-destructive editing. That's another important thing. So I'm going to talk about color grading, but in a non-destructive way, right? So that therefore we take care of two topics. Let's say you had something, let's say in this case where you're mimicking, and you needed to change like the color of this. Now, to change the color of that, let me delete all of this. There are two ways you could do it. You could do it in a destructive way or non-destructive way. Let me show you. The destructive way would be when you change it, you can't edit it again. The only way to edit it, you have to undo it. Meaning, you change the color, you do a bunch of other stuff, and then later down in the day, you say, oh crap, I didn't want it to be that color. There's no way to go back to change that again, right? I mean, you might look at that and say, well, that's a no-brainer. Why would you want to edit something that you can't go back and change anytime? But to work non-destructively is something that you have to you have to notice when you're about to make a change and it's not going to be able to change later on. Perfect point. Let's say, like, most say you're doing this mimic now, you're doing a floor plan. Whose floor plan did I see? Was it Rose's floor plan? Yes, it was your floor plan. No, is you had shown me our floor plan, Rose? Right. So let's say that you're doing your design studio and you say, oh yeah, man, I want to use one of these techniques that I learned in AC1 to do this floor plan to use as my final project. But of course, in the technique that you did, you flesh out the design pretty much, but then you go to studio one day and then for whatever reason, like what normally happens, your lecturer that doing your desk read say, guess what? I don't think this plan can work again. You know? And this would be after you have already processed it. You know, you carry it in Photoshop, you add your shadows, you do all of these nice fancy things, but then now you have to change it. I mean, it's not like if you change your floor plan, then everything will change. So then that kind of editing is what you call destructive editing, right? If you change the source, the end product doesn't change automatically or semi-automatically. So in architecture, because architecture is built upon changes and changes and changes, and you'll hear that all the time. So if you think it's just in school, oh no. So, I mean, think about the client, and all of a sudden they decided that, boy, I want another bedroom after you done draw out everything already. I mean, in Revit, it's not so bad. You just go and change it. But then if you had already laid out your presentation sheets and all of these things, it's not like when you add that other bedroom, all your sheets just going to automatically update. So that's what I mean.
So I normally use a layer mask in that instance.
Right. So things like layer masking and those things, that is what you call non-destructive editing.
Okay.
Cool. So
Right.
It's an approach to working. It's not a tool in Photoshop or a tool in Revit or Illustrator. It's just an approach to working in a way that you can always go back and edit the source and the end product will change. So with that said, speaking about changing color, in this case, I would probably go with, to do this in a non-destructive way, I would use what's called adjustment layers, right? And I don't know if all of us know about adjustment layers in Photoshop, but an adjustment layer, well,
yes, sir,
is a layer that you add, and all it does is adjust, and you can always go back and change it later. So to add an adjustment layer, there's actually a panel for that called adjustments. So you need to open that panel, which looks like this. I pull it out here. And all I do is I simply just choose one of these adjustments to make. So for example, I can choose, the one to change color would be hue and saturation, which would be this one. So I just need to click that once, and there we go. Now, when you, let me pull this out. Your adjustment layer has what's called properties that go with it. So if I look at my layers tab, I can see where I have an adjustment layer on top of the wood layer and on top of the building layer. So right now, if I go to the properties, which is this, of this adjustment layer, let me dock it. Let me dock it right down here. Come on, dock, dock. Right, so let's say I dock this right here. Then all I need to do is change the hue, and you will see the colors being changed. Now in this case, you want to change the color of just the wood. So what you would need to do is let the adjustment layer only affect this layer right here. Now to do that, what you'd have to do is select the adjustment layer, and in your adjustment layer properties, you would choose this option here, which is basically saying adjust. It just adjusts. It doesn't affect all the layers. It just affects the layer below the adjustment layer. So now when I change the hue, it will just change that. And this is non-destructive, so you can go back anytime and edit this, and the color here will change. Now there's another way how to color something. So this is hue will work when you're coloring something that already has color. So if I reset the hue to 0, that is the default color. And what I'm doing here on this scale is I am offsetting it, meaning I am removing green. I am now removing yellow. I am removing red. So when I remove red, I'm left with blue and yellow. Remember, it's RGB. So when I drag across the hue, what it is really doing is removing the color that you're currently on and leaving the leftover of that color. It's kind of like if you put 3 colors to get 1 color and you take out 1, you're going to end up with another color. So that's what hue does. So between hue, saturation, and lightness, you can pretty much recolor anything that already has a color. So let me reset this. Let's imagine that this is the original color of this here. And let's say you wanted to color this wood. Give me a color. You're muted.
Purple.
Purple. Well, purple is actually easy. But okay, you wanted to color it purple. Then what you would do is you would remove, basically just drag it across the scale until you get in the purple range, which see? So purple is removing yellow. So you're only left with red and blue, which gives you purple, right? So that is how this ends up being purple. Then you want to adjust the saturation. How saturated is that purple? Or how bright is that purple? So is it like bright purple or light purple, like deep purple? Now, this is fine when you have something that has color. So let me reset this. But what about when you have something that don't have color? So let's say in a case where you find, let's just go to Google here and grab an image. So let's grab, let's try wood texture again. But black and white. All right, so that therefore this doesn't have any color at all. So let's grab this one here. So let's say that you had an image that did not have any color. It's a big image. Just make it small. And I'm just going to use, oh, by the way, talk about non-destructive editing. As you notice, I edited this wood here and I can't change it again. So that is destructive editing. So to do non-destructive editing, what I would do is I would change this to a smart object. And that way, when I add remember the warps that we were doing? So when I add the skew warp, I can always go back and edit it later. Because look, let me choose okay, see what this actually, because I changed it to a smart object, it actually preserves, oops, it preserves the warp because the target doesn't include that. Come on. What did you do? Right. So now if I go back to warp, to skew, sorry. No, distort. It preserves the distort, so I can go back and further edit it. Okay, anyway, we were talking about color, right? And I do believe one of you have a mimic that you need to recolor. So I showed one way of recoloring. Now let's say that this was another scenario where you had this object here, which originally has no color, and you want to give it a color. Now, if you add hue to this, I'm gonna add the hue to this, and I'm only going to let it affect this layer. Notice that the hue doesn't change it because there is, remember what hue is doing? In this case, it's removing green, but there is no green to begin with. So hue is not adjusting the color of this wood any at all because there's no color to begin with. So in this case, in order for you to introduce a color, I should really show you this in a higher resolution. So let us. Okay, yeah, so let's go with a higher resolution image, right? So, yeah, let's get this image here. And let's make this nice and big so you can see what I mean. All right. So here is a black and white image. Notice, well, first thing.
Or isn't that the same thing?
Yeah. But when you open that image in Photoshop, that's black and white. Photoshop is going to detect that it doesn't have color and it's going to start it in grayscale mode. That's something to look out for because a lot of people think something wrong with them Photoshop, but it's really the mode is set to grayscale because Photoshop detected that it didn't have any color to begin with. So that's just something to watch out for. Anyway, I'm in regular RGB. Now, currently, as I was saying earlier, I wanted to change the color of this wood. But if I add a hue saturation, notice it doesn't change it because there's no color to begin with. So what you have to do, is add your own color. Now, what color you want to let this? Let's say you wanted it to be the same purple wood. So what I would have done is add a new layer. Right? This is you giving a black and white image color. And then I would fill it with a color. So in this case, I'm going to choose like purple. I'm going to fill that with purple. Now, of course, when I fill it with purple, it's on a layer above. You're not going to see anything. And of course, if you make it like transparent, so for example, it's going to look like that, which is going to be kind of like a washout, weird, purpley color. But this is where transfer modes come in, and transfer modes are located here. And what these are, they are algorithms that work in the background based on a certain objective. That's the best way to say it. So, so for example, the dissolve algorithm has no effect on this. Nope, none at all. The darken multiplier, notice what it does. They all do specific things. I think the darken will show the layer above on pixels that are not dark. You understand? And that's what that algorithm is executing. Multiply, which is popular, is adding. That's the way to express it. So it's adding the color of one layer to the color of the other. So anyway, what you end up with multiply is that the purple is being added to the white. And that's how you end up getting a color. But this is different than if you were just doing transparency. All right, so let me do that again. If you made this image, let me duplicate this. If you made this image transparent and make it 50% transparent, it would look like that. All right? If you use the transfer mode, it would look like that. Now this looks like the wood is genuinely this color versus just making it transparent, which kind of looks weird because it's just adding a slight color to this. So this would be how you would color, another method as to how you would color an image. If the hue and saturation doesn't work, you would add this. But when you add multiply, you're actually losing a bit of light because overall the image gets low. So,
So what about like hard mix?
Oh, sir, if you're talking to us, we can't hear because you're muted.
sorry. Right, so overlay is another popular one. Overlay is doing the opposite of multiply. Overlay is kind of the dark areas are being blended with the other layer. Whereas multiply, the light areas are being blended with the other area. So if you notice, when you're using overlay, the creases that are black are actually suck up the purple of the layer above. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Soft and hard light, and you have all of these other ones. But the reason why it's so important to know these is because in many programs out there, these transfer modes are universal. So you might be using Lumion, and then Lumion says, okay, we support transfer mode. You will know what multiply does. It would do the same thing in that program. You follow me? It's like a set of algorithms that work in the background. Subtract, okay. I guess subtract is subtracting that. I don't know all of them out of my head, but I know the popular ones that we use. Actually, I kind of like
subtract. Look like it's a complementary color.
Yeah, could be like the negative.
Yeah.
The opposite. Yeah. But what I notice is that multiply, I'm losing light. If you notice, it's like it's darker. Overlay is usually brighter because remember, multiply is like it's taking the what is white of the image and applying the color above and leaving out what is black. So you know what I would do? I would actually take I like subtract gives you that richness, but it's opposite. So I would probably take subtract. And then I would probably group. Let's do this. Here, let me delete this. I would probably group all of this together. Right now, I could make this into a folder, right? So I group this together and then add a invert. Will that work? Let's see. Which one are the invert? No, invert not going to do that, actually. No. Okay, I would have to make this into a smart object and then add an invert. Let's try that. Actually, yeah, no, this is doing the right thing. Invert would invert green, which you would get back purple, but then it would also invert black, which would you get white. So then that won't quite work. I would just maybe add a hue saturation to this now and then try and get back the purple by removing green. So I would put it here. Hey, check it out. That's pretty close. And then you could adjust like saturation of this and adjust
Sir,
like,
what color you're trying to get?
well, I just kind of switch on you. So this is like getting a wood color.
Okay.
Right. I probably wouldn't start with purple if I was going to get a wood color. You know, I would probably start with the wood color. So that's like a totally bad example. So let me dump that. Yeah. So I would, to begin with, I would be starting with color that I would have probably gotten from, is there like a color? There is a swatch thing here, right? So I would pick like a nice, like one of these or something, and then fill this layer with that color. Then, let me throw away this. Then, so this is on subtract now. So I would go with multiply. So you see multiply isn't bad. It multiply almost take me there already. This is linear burn. This is pretty cool.
Yes, sir, that's nice.
Overlays, as usual, a bit too bright. And this one isn't bad either. This is linear light. So that is pretty interesting. And then now you can always add a hue and saturation and just adjust the saturation a little bit to kind of get you where you want to go. And you know, brightness and contrast and all of that stuff. So that would be how you would add color or how you would manipulate an existing color. And remember that this is non-destructive. You can always go in this, change this color here, and the whole thing would change.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just a small question, sir. Sir, for instance, I have two Photoshop files open and I want to add something from one to the other. How do I do that again?
Very good question. So I have two Photoshop files open here. And let's say I wanted to carry over this building into the other file. There are two ways you could do it. The layman easy way is to just, I believe you can just drag the layer over to the other Photoshop file, literally, by dragging it up to the tab. But if you have the old version of Photoshop, it might not have been so easy. The official way to get a one layer into another layer in Photoshop is to right click it, choose duplicate. And then when it comes up to duplicate, instead of duplicating it in this document, you duplicate it to that document, choose OK. So now it's over here. So that is the official way it will work no matter which Photoshop you're in. But the shortcut, the layman way is to just drag it.
Yes, because I know about the dragging parts here, but the Photoshop that I'm using, it wasn't working.
Right, it's probably an older one. Right. Okay. There's so much things you can do in Photoshop, and this is why I come up with this list to kind of guide me. You know, rather than me just rambling on about all kind of things that Photoshop can do. Right? And nowadays, think about it this way. Because you have YouTube and you have Google, it's not really about knowing what buttons to press, because you can always Google that. It's really about the approach. So for example, if you wanted to, like this wood color that we got here, if you wanted to get this color here, you could go out and find an image that is already colored and try and edit the hue to change the color. And you could Google, how do I change the hue on an image, and it would tell you. But if I was going with a better approach, I would go with a black and white image, because I know I can more tweak the color from scratch. And the thing is, the tutorial is not going to tell you the approach. The tutorial is just going to tell you how to achieve something based on the approach that you select. You follow me? The approach is really the valuable information that that you really get from somebody who is, I guess, who used it before, or just from experience. So working non-destructively is an approach. For example, YouTube can probably tell you 10 different ways how to recolor an image, but how to recolor it non-destructively is like you'd have to kind of have that in mind or search for that specifically. Okay, so I do believe extracting vectors, extracting sections from models, we did a couple of that. Selecting color, that was more about, okay. We can do that next time. Nobody never really come with nothing that I see you needed to do that tip on. Applying colors, yeah, some people had that. Warping images, most people had that. Using brushes, we covered in the past. Creating sheets that flow, nobody needs to do that in this case. Creating entourage from 3D. We kind of do that already. Basically, you render a 3D object as a PNG, right? So those of you who are doing a floor plan, you know that you just need to find a couch in top view, and then you put that in your plan. Okay. All right, you guys still there? I see I have one student,
Yes,
but
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir, we're here.
I'm down to one now. Okay.
It's two, no, sir. It's two. Chineka has her. Oh, you can't see us. You can't see us.
Someone black.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
eh,
These tips are driven from the work that you are doing, I can't just tell you random tips, I will just be talking from here to eternity. So a lot of it is driven by what you're doing. So you have to be doing in order for me to gear the tips towards what you want to achieve. Okay, for those of you who are doing floor plans,
so that
Sir.
explain, sir, that easy.
true, but in the past I've gotten questions with that you might not be able to find a particular item that is on your floor plan. Maybe your floor plan has a lot of trees and you're trying to look for trees and you can't get it, or it could just have like types of couch and you can't get it. What I would remind you guys in that sense is you might be trying to Google a particular thing and you're not finding that image in Google, or better yet, you're not finding a PNG version of that so you can pull in your plan. Remember, most of you already know how to use like Lumion and Twinmotion, and you can always get the 3D model of what you want, turn it to top view, and render it as a PNG. Okay? Then you carry it in Photoshop and add a shadow background. So let me give you an example of that. I could go to Warehouse. 3D Warehouse. Everybody know about 3D Warehouse, right? This has actually saved me a lot when I'm doing floor plans, and I may not have a particular object in a floor plan. So give me, let's say, dining table. And of course, I can find many dining tables here. And let's say that the dining table that you actually want is actually in SketchUp. Let's say for whatever reason you try Googling it and you didn't find it in Google. You can always download that 3D model, open it in SketchUp, come on, why are you not opening? Open, open, open. There we go. Open it in SketchUp. It's probably a bad example because this is just like a straightforward 3D model, but yeah, it don't matter. It could be a couch, it could be anything, right? I think, let's try a more complex idea, like a boat, right? So you're trying to find a boat, there we go. Or better yet, actually, this is a good example. Let's say you're doing your section, could be a section or a floor plan. And this is the actual table that you want in section. But you can't find a section view when you Google image, when you search for it in Google. So then you just change it to parallel projection and change your, view. Where are you? Where's view? Where's view? Where's view? It should be at the bottom. Camera. Did this change? Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah. So let's say you actually needed a table in plan. Then you set it to that view, and then you can export it as a 2D graphic, preferably as a PNG. Let me save it to the desktop in the same tips folder. Actually, before I save this, I would need to go to my styles, and I would need to go to edit and make sure that my background is off. I hope we remember this from SketchUp days. Oh, so we're not using any sky and we're not using any ground. And the background, we want to make it completely white.
Why me? I'm not toxic.
There we go. Now we export as a PNG. Good. And then we can open that PNG in Photoshop. This is not so nice at all. This really doesn't give us the transparency we desire, unfortunately. Where is this again? This option should be in the export option if you're using 2000 and up. But where is it? Anybody remember where you go to set the transparency option? Oh, here it is, options, wow. There it is, transparent background. Everybody seen that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Yes, sir. And then you want to change the resolution, so probably change it to like 2000, maybe 3000, make it nice and big. There we go. Export. Right. Now, let me just do a section image. Section image. Yeah. I'm just finding a background so I can show you this example here. Come on. Okay, this will have to do. Okay. So now let's say, for example, that you wanted to get this in your section view. I'll just angle this like right here. Then when you place this model, let's make this a bit bigger. Man, Photoshop is just so much slower when you're recording your screen and using it. When you using Zoom, it's like mega slow. Okay, let's go to a new page.
Or imagine 3 days max.
No man, Max would actually be quicker.
No.
All right, so there we go. So now it's fully transparent. So this is a pretty decent model, and you didn't Google it, but you got it from Warehouse. So because you got it as 3D, you are able to save it without the transparency. Meaning, let me just put a random color in the background. I go to gradient. So that gradient background real quick. Right, so see, even though you add a background, you get a nice transparent model. And of course, in Photoshop, you can add your blending options. I would assume that you know about this already, where you can add like a drop shadow and all of these things. There we go. There we go. Let's set distance offset, make it larger, and make it more blurry. Spread it out a bit more. Size.
Or where did you just go to get this?
To get this?
Yeah. The layer style where I don't know what to click to get that.
Okay, I will show you.
To pop up.
So notice, so this is actually a 3D object that I have now put in my 2D drawing. So where I went to get that is that I went to blending options, which is the shortest way. Just double click a layer, double click the layer, and you see your blending options will pop up. And blending options gives you the ability to add stroke and glows and all of these things. So for example, essentially what I'm saying is when it comes to entourage, if you can't find an image of it in Google, find a 3D of it in Warehouse, open it in SketchUp and save it as a PNG. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
Right. And you can end up with cool stuff like this.
Sir, when you're finished with that, I would like to show you the image that I've selected.
Okay, no problem. All right, so that one covered this tip, which is creating entourage from 3D. There is so much more cool stuff, but let's leave that for another time. Show me images, because we're about to wrap up now. I think I've spoken enough.
So, yes, sir. I'll do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't share screen. Well.
Oh, because I'm sharing. Okay, not bad. All right, one now.
Okay. Oh, wow. Where did I put it? Wait. Let me. Ah.
Okay, guys. So I do believe that is all my tips from today. Okay, hold on. This is which one? Oh, highlight.
Yeah, to show. Yes, that's the one I didn't have.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Very straightforward. Yep, you pass. Yeah, that picture is approved. Please upload it so I have it.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I try upload the PSD file, it just say too big.
Right. What? Oh, you mean when you're giving me the working file?
Yeah.
Oh man. You know what? Don't give me those working files, please. Because next thing, I remember one person that worked in Twinmotion had like a 3 gig file or something. And I definitely don't want those to be filling up my drive. Try and save it like as a PDF or something. All right?
What do you mean?
So like if you're giving me the, right. So if you, let's say you're working PSD, right? How big is it? It's more than 500 megs.
Hold on.
No, so that's too big, man. That's too big.
Why?
That's too big. Just give me in some other format. Like save it as a JPEG.
32.6 megabytes.
82?
32.
What you said? 32 or 82?
32. 32.
Oh, that's not big.
Yeah, but it now uploads still, sir.
That might be because I turned the size down. Boy, after last year, last year full up my drive, so I start to turn down all of my forms down low. Filling up my Google Drive. And see Google start sending a message, oh, you want to buy more storage? I said, no. So, what I will do is, let me check on this now to see. This is part 3, right? Yeah. Challenge 1. Oh, I gave you 10 megabytes. Ooh, no, that's too small. No,
Really, sir?
No, that's a side by side.
Oh.
That is a side by side. The working file is, oh, that's also 10. Okay, I'm gonna give you 100.
Okay, that sounds good, sir.
I can imagine in the future we will give grades based on small file size.
Sure. The option to upload them one by one, like as you finish them, that ain't possible.
Actually, you're the second person that asked for that feature. So, I'm going to enable that feature. I don't think it will affect me.
Yes, sir. Because as me finish, me just want to upload it.
But how will I do this now? I will have to mark from bottom to top. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you can give me that. Let me make each of these 100 megabytes. See? Now it's telling me that my form is too big. By the way, you can upload more than one files in that area. Meaning, if you work from Photoshop and Illustrator, right, you can upload more than one files. But why am I even telling you that? Because I don't want you to fill up my drive. No. Before, it never used to be a problem, but now when everything is digital, it is a major concern. Everybody is spending money on Google Drive and meetings and all of these things. All right, good. I've updated this. And by the way, no, but it is set up where you can submit one at a time. You can't?
No, because if you try to switch the screen.
Oh, yeah. I see. So let me change this option.
And sir,
yes.
You're trying to rob me of my 2%?
No. As long as you submit it, is there, but I mark it one time.
Yeah, but me not see it. Let me check my grades, me not see it.
Oh, but you see the column for it though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you know that it's real.
Yeah, but me see other people get it, me not get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be. You sure it's not last year grade? You sure it's not summer grade you're looking at?
No, I'm looking at my. No.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're probably looking on. Let me look on this thing here. Let me see, because the link that is on the site is perhaps from summer, since I haven't updated that link. I'm checking it now. Grade total. This is for what? This is for major project. No, this is for mimic, which is 30%. Where's your bonus 2%? Oh, you're right.
Actually, rob me, sir.
No, but no, it's from summer.
Oh.
It's from summer. Because see, the dates are in there in saying August.
Oh.
So yeah, I just cleared that data a while ago. Because as you know, it's kind of like a running grade sheet. So we empty it out and you go again every time. So that doesn't delete it. So ignore that. Okay. I do believe that's it, guys.
Hold on, sir. I have my 3D thing to show you. I hope nobody never do this, Never choose this one.
No matter.
I wanted them to change, so.
No matter if somebody choose it.
Well, we don't want everybody at the same thing.
No matter. I can just compare. So when I give you 90 and then I say, this person did it better. This person did it better.
I don't want to rob nobody them grade,
All right, no problem. Well, you sharing your screen?
Later, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. It's the blue one.
Not
that one, sir. It's
the
blue
not that one.
It's the blue one. It just disappeared.
I know, I see you.
I'm not stealing yours, Jordan. Why this internet? So you never see the blue one? See now, load now.
Oh Lord.
Did you see the blue one though, sir?
No, I
I
didn't.
think I caught a glimpse of it.
Refresh.
It was the blue one. Jeez, I'm knowing now, Sean. Don't. All right. Give me a second. I'm going to click on Jordy one and hope it will send me back to the blue one.
Okay. Is that one in the top row on the right? No?
No. That can work still, but no. It wasn't that. It too washed out.
Is that one?
No.
Is not, no man, scroll down. Is not that one
Sorry,
that I
see,
saw?
I'm panic and it gone. It's not. It's none of these. It's done.
No man, scroll down. Scroll down.
It's none of these, sir. It don't there, so.
Okay. Well, let's go in your history.
Wait. All right, see it here.
No, we see the blue, sir.
Okay.
See it here, sir.
Yeah, but didn't you show me this already?
No, I never had this.
Okay.
Just make sure nobody else had this, sir. Since you think you see it,
All right, no problem. Just remember when you're doing this, remember you have some lines in there. You
Yes,
have
sir.
some right.
Gridish
You
type
have some
of thing.
right. You have some layers and stuff. It looks pretty straightforward. Don't look hard.
This is probably the easiest one out of all of mine.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it passed. And at this point, I really need enough to finish.
Wonderful.
Most people here is on like the second one of 4. So
This is the last one.
right. So I'm hoping during this week you will get going on your major project. I think it's scheduled for this week. I will speak to Ms. Ramrock. And then I'm going to do a lecture with you on the digital office. This is 29. Right. The digital. So that will be next week. Next week we'll do the digital office. And then what you show me where you reach with your mimic. Remember you have 2 more weeks. So after next week is 1 more week. All right, it's 30% of your grade, so it's a decent chunk. So don't make it fall till the last minute, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so with that, I shall see you next week. If not, maybe I'll visit you in your lecture classes, depending. I'll speak to Ms. Ramrock and see. All right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, take it easy. Good luck. and stay safe.
Bye, Mr. Sir.
Bye.
All right.